Excellent, thank you. And we'll start. Thanks everyone for joining. This is the third Housing Repairs online show and share. In a moment, sorry, Fraser, can we go to the next slide? Before I share with you what we're going to cover today, I just want to remind you why we do these show and shares. It provides an opportunity for the team to celebrate what they've achieved, demo any working software that they've built, and share information on the progress we've made. But most importantly, it's for you, our collaborators and supporters, to give you the opportunity to give your feedback and ask questions. And we hope that we'll have time at the end for you to do that. Next slide, please. So what we're going to cover today. In a moment, I will remind you of who is in the core team, reshare our vision before handing over to Bhavesh Patel, our lead engineer, who will talk to you about the work we've done integrating our service with DRS, the scheduling system. We'll then hand over to Aziz Umbra, our UX designer, who will talk about our first round of the user research. So what we did, what we were trying to find out, and actually what the key findings were from that research. I'll then give you an update on the progress that we made in our current sprint and then focus for the next before I hand back to Fraser, who will tell you how you can engage with the project. And then finally, we'll answer any questions that you may have. Next slide, please. So who is in the core team? Just to remind you, we have Fraser Chickett from Lincoln Council, who's our product owner, myself, Paul Climpson, the delivery manager from Maytech, Fernando Aquila from Lambeth Council, Bhavesh Patel, our lead engineer from Maytech, Jayad Amatajo from Southwark Council, Wendy Banks, who is our business analyst from Lincoln Council, Theon Johnson, who is our user researcher from Maytech, and then we have a new face. We now have Leon Aki, who is our collaboration manager from Local Digital. El Villamese, who is our senior engineer from Maytech. Then we have Jim Bowen, who is representing the Thistle IT group. Mesa Canoni, our engineer from Maytech, and finally Aziz Amra, our UX designer from Maytech. Next slide. So just to remind you of our vision, it's to design and build a reusable and accessible online repair reporting tool that requires no login, and most importantly, residents prefer to use it as it meets their needs. A tool that is integratable with various scheduling systems through open, scalable and accessible APIs, which we hope will enable the tool to be adopted by local authorities across the UK. I'll now hand over to Bhavesh.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to be talking about DRS integration, which is dynamic resource scheduling software, which is utilized at Lincoln. It's a third-party software, and we look to integrate it into the user journey for housing repairs online. It's used to book trade operatives for repairs at Lincoln currently using DRS Scheduler web user interface, which you can see on the right-hand side. And a scheduler operative at Lincoln will go in and manually create a schedule of book a repair in. And we wanted to match that user journey, integrate that into our user journey in the online reporting. So the features that we required was to understand which repair slots were available and how to book a repair appointment. And during this sprint and our spike, we understood both of those and which requests need to be made, which are detailed in the sequence diagram. DRS uses a simple, simple Object Access Protocol, acronym of SOAP, which is a lightweight XML-based protocol that is used for exchanging information. And the requests and responses, we understand better now and what fields are required and how to book in a request for a user using the online housing repairs online service. Okay, that's it.
Okay, next slide. Over to you, Az.
Morning, everyone. So we've conducted the first round of user research with the Lincoln residents across 2 housing estates. So we had 9 users that reviewed our prototype and completed a list of tasks. So the users were identified as digitally excluded, meaning they don't have constant access to internet or computer, and they were of low digital confidence. So on a scale of 1 to 9, they averaged about 3.5. Yeah, next slide, please. Okay, and so some statistics from the round of research. 3 out of 8 identified the problem. All of the users could describe their problem verbally, and majority of users could upload an image, and but only 2 out of 9 understood that they've completed that task, i.e. uploading the image. So they weren't sure whether whether the image has been uploaded or not. So they wanted some more confirmation of it. All of the users could select an appointment, but some were unsure when the appointment was booked, when the confirmation screen was there. And 3 out of 9 thought it was booked at the end, which was the correct assumption. Yeah, next, please. So we've conducted a couple of workshops and mapped out what the users have told us and what our possible solutions could be to solve those challenges for them. And so we've created a list which will prioritize and convert into sort of deliverables, into several tasks, and they will be spread across the next sort of few sprints. Yeah, next. So one of the key insights was that the users struggled to identify the problem from the list we present to them. So this was an example of a journey where a user wanted to report a problem in the kitchen. So it was with the, I think it was with the cupboards, and there was basically not enough information for them in the labels in this next to the radio buttons. So where it says cupboards, they weren't sure what's included in that sort of subsection. And so we've expanded on that slightly. And so we've added things like cupboards, including damaged cupboard doors, or for example, electrical, including extractor fans and light bulbs, just to give a bit more information to the users. And yeah, next. So a few other key findings. So users struggle to understand if they've uploaded the image. So we decided to kind of make the confirmation and the whole process itself. So things like the buttons on the page, the relevant components on the page, will make them a bit more visible, a bit more sort of intuitive. And the next one was users didn't consistently know when their appointment was actually booked. So we had a screen sort of just after halfway through the journey where we just confirmed the time and the date, but that didn't mean that the booking has actually gone through yet. So that's something we're working on. So we'll reshuffle the user journey slightly to address that. And the last key insight was that when reporting on behalf of someone else, the details that the service needs from the users, so there weren't enough details, or they weren't very clear. So that's another thing we will work on to make sure that both the users know how to provide those details and the service team know how to what details they need, basically. And I think that's all for research. Any questions?
No, thank you, Aziz. I'll continue from here. So progress made in this sprint. We continue to build new MVP pages. This is including eligible project properties and identify repair location. These are based on the prototype version 2. We performed the DRS integration tech spike, and as you just heard from Bhavesh, we now fully understand how we can integrate with that scheduling system. We'll continue to build the repairs and housing management APIs to flow data from the service down to UH and DRS. We analysed the user research data, and you've just heard about the key findings. We've we've created the beta prototype V3, and this will incorporate all the changes, both in terms of the design and copy that came out from those key findings to improve the user experience. And we've already started planning for our second round of user research, which will be in early November. And finally, we presented the project at Local GovCamp, and we hope this will engage a wider audience. Next slide. So our focus for our next sprint will be to continue to iterate that prototype V3. We will build a SOAR engine. SOAR stands for Schedule of Repairs, and this will future-proof our service so that we'll be able to support any customised SOAR sets created by councils. We'll rework the built MVP pages. What this means is the pages that were built based on V2 will now be reworked to be in line with what's in V3 of the prototype. And finally, we will build new MVP pages based on the new V3 prototype. These will include what is the property address, select an address, where is the problem located, and what is the problem. And so in our next show and share, we hope to show you that journey within the actual real MVP service itself. Next slide. Over to you, Fraser.
Cheers, Paul. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, this was just to remind everybody that we are trying to share and promote this as much as we can out in the open. So we'd really appreciate if you could kind of share and pass on these details, come along and have a look at the blog that we've been writing. We've got our own hashtag, it's nice and snappy, Repairs Online. So if you're looking at things like Twitter, LinkedIn, you can search for that hashtag and we should come up on there. We'll be posting not only this show and share, but the previous ones are on there, and even those from the previous rounds. I update the blog every couple of weeks as well to do our sprint notes, and there's also a contact method on there and background to the project. So please have a look at that, share it with your colleagues at any other authorities, etc. That'd be really useful. Thank you. Okay. And finally, does anybody have any questions on what we've ran through today?
You can put them in the chat as well if you feel more comfortable doing that. And if there's no more questions, then I think we can end the show and share there, Fraser.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks everyone for attending.
Thank you. Cheers, everyone.